Hello everybody, Terrence here, aka The Poets, and I was at the AMD press conference regarding the Threadripper 9000 CPUs. Very excited about those, and right after the press conference ended, they literally handed me some of the Threadrippers, and they're really cool to see. They were delidded, and then we had the roundtable discussion. So this video is actually the full unedited, I don't know how long it is, but the whole discussion about Threadripper 9000, and I think we got off topic here and there. Wendell from Level 1 Tech, he's behind the camera, so you hear his voice a lot, and a few others. But yeah, it was a good time, good to see everybody. And I guess let's just roll the clip, and that'll be it. So enjoy.
Okay, so that's my intro. Okay. George, I know you got a question.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
man. Get us going.
Standard Threadripper 9000. Is it 4 channels or 8 channels?
So the non-pro is 4 channel.
4 channel.
Pro is 8
And
channel. Same as last check.
Okay.
Same as 1000.
and does the Pro SKUs have any SKUs with GMIW on them? The double wide GMI bus?
I do not know if the GMI buses are different. We can pick that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that everyone's asked me at least is, are any of these GMI 3W? So
That's stated another way. That is the 9575F is amazing.
Yes.
Can we please have a Threadripper version
Yes.
of that, please?
please and thank you.
I'll capture that.
Speaking of things on the please, can we have it? Is HSMP on Threadripper? Don't answer now. Just think about it.
Patrick, I think you should just start talking.
I found that when I ask questions, I often get uninvited to future events. So please understand that this is a little bit done sheepishly. So you've now had a couple of generations of Threadripper. Last generation, I think, frankly, looks a little bit like this new generation, just in terms of like how you're thinking of the SKUs and all that. So when we talk about the overall, we look at like the market of these. Is there like a certain point that's like a sweet spot for where you're actually selling these? Are you selling mostly the pro parts? Are you selling the highest core count parts? Are you selling the lowest core count parts because people just want more connectivity and memory? Like how do we think about? You have a SKU stack, and there's usually a couple really hot points on that. So what are you seeing in terms of the hot points?
Yeah, I mean, so what we see from sales of Threadripper Pro is kind of as you would expect, the lowest price parts are the highest volume parts, and the highest price parts are the lowest volume parts. So kind of what you expect. What we see is that kind of the strategy behind that with a lot of our customers. They want to have a standard ecosystem, so they want to buy the same workstation for their junior engineers up through their data scientists and their most performance sensitive users. And so by having that core count scalability gives them one chassis and one supplier they can work with to buy for a number of their different use cases.
I bet you different verticals you'd see different things, right? Is that not true in the pro case? Like somebody, like if it's ILM and they're doing, rendering all day long, I would imagine they're heavily skewed towards higher core count stuff. And the other way around, if maybe you're an AI house and all you care about is running the graphics cards and you don't really need, a massive amounts of cores for your use case. So I bet you by vertical it splits up pretty good, but in general.
Yeah, I mean, so within media and entertainment, render workflows, light baking workflows tend to skew to the higher core count parts. Architecture, engineering, and construction, a lot of those will scale to lower core count parts, and then across design and manufacturing, it's kind of a good mix depending on what you're doing, right? If you're doing CAD, the 12 of the 16 core parts is a great part for CAD. If you're doing a manufacturing simulation, you're going to want a higher core count part for there. So across the different verticals, kind of the skew of the core counts is going to kind of vary in those ways.
And what about the pro versus non-pro? Like, what does that kind of mix look like? Like I don't need an exact percentage, but just like is there like one that people are super jazzed on, and the other one that folks are not jazzed on, or like how does that mix work?
So the mix of pro versus the non-pro, we sell a few more of the pro parts. Similar workflows for pro and non-pro. It's just kind of the whether you're looking at smaller companies where you've got more content creators. That's where you're going to see more of the non-pro versus the large enterprise. Folks that need to buy on a global basis. That's where they're going to go with the pro parts from one of the MNC customers that I work with. Right, folks that are just in one location. We do a lot of business through our system integrator network. But when people need to source for multiple geos, across Europe and the States or whatever, that's when they typically would go with one of our MNC partners.
Okay.
350 watt across the board. What does the PPT look like? What's max power consumption? Is that higher than 7,000?
The TDP is rated all the same for all of them, for the 7,000 and the 5,000. I'd have to look up what the PPT specs are on them, but like I said, the TDP is the same across, like I say, all.
But like the peak power. Mm-hmm. The peak power would be the same between 9,000 as opposed to TDP, which is kind of a fictional number, but you've got 9,000, 7,000 side by side, same board. They're going to peak at the same amount of power.
Yeah, they're going to have the same TDP for all 6 of the 9,000 SKUs and all 6 of the 7,000 SKUs. Yeah.
It's great to see TRX 50 being used twice now. TRX 40 was a disappointment, only used once. Do you see TRX 50 being used again a third time, or would that potentially just be a new socket?
So we're not going to talk about where we're going to head with the future roadmap, but the way we've done Threadripper Pro, right, 3,000 and 5,000 were in the same infrastructure, and then 7,000 and 9,000 in the same infrastructure, and that was a little bit different on the non-pro. But on the Pro, we had 3 and 5 with the same sets of motherboards and sockets, and 7 and 9 with the same sets of motherboards and sockets.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking from the content creator standpoint, where we were told, TRX 40 is going to be around for a little while, and then it wasn't, right? And so it's great to see TRX 50 being utilized again. Very excited for the 9,000. Do you see like similar SKUs? I haven't seen all the SKUs for Threadripper 9000, but do you see like a 9970X again? And I know Threadripper 7970X was capable for gaming and multitasking for streamers and all that stuff as well. Who needed all the additional PCIe lanes. So do you think you'll be kind of marketing the Threadripper 9000 to the high-end streamer gamer that need all those lanes, or it's just going to be kind of generally just kind of putting it out there and kind of see who grabs for what?
Yeah, so the marketing and positioning is very similar to the 7000 series, right? So for the pros, we had 12 through 96 cores in both 7000 and 9000. For the non-pro, 24 to 64 cores for both 7000 and 9000. So very similar SKU mix for both pro and non-pro, and similar usage cases. Obviously, the thing that's gained more traction since we did the 7000 launch is more AI use cases, more AI workflows than there were 18 months ago. 18 months from now, there'll be more, but the same kind of general verticals, design and manufacturing, media and entertainment, those will be the same from 7000 before and 9000 now.
Okay.
7,000 was 5,200. DDR5 5200. This is DDR5 6400.
Correct. Yep.
Is that going to work on all boards?
Because
Because you're leveraging a lot of existing infrastructure.
Yep. From an MNC standpoint, it's going to be in all the same systems. I think it is from a channel standpoint. All the motherboards are support 6400. I think they do, but I'm not sure.
We better get back. I believe so as well, but
But to be clear, the JDEC, right, is 5600. We expect the sticks to hit 6400. On MNC, obviously, they validated that. On other boards, it's going to vary by stick. It should work on all of them.
But the base spec of the processor is DDR5 6400, correct?
No, I believe the JDEC speed is
56.
5600.
56.
Yes.
Base, yeah.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
No, for the 9000 series it's 6400.
Yeah, that's the base.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big
base.
jump from 52 to 64.
Correct.
So that's kind of the question is are all the boards actually going to support that just out of the box?
The WRX90 when it launched didn't support 128 gig DIMMs out of the box. You could do 7.
Yeah. There have been some things in the past.
What I can say is that if and when you may or may not get a sample of said CPUs, the memory that's going to be included is well above 6400. Well above.
But we'll get back to y'all.
And, oh, I guess sort of continuing on that memory, just to double and triple check. It's RDIMMs only, no UDIMMs, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
They're physically keyed different.
Yeah.
Yes.
And different voltages.
Do you know of any ODMs that are doing the non-ECC RDIMMs? Because that's technically part of the spec.
On the motherboard design.
Is this a quiz? Are you going to tell us?
No.
Sorry.
I've got a surprise for you.
You can produce an RDIMM that doesn't have ECC chips. That's part of the spec.
It sounds kind of cursed.
You would ask the niche of the niche question.
I mean, it is not impossible to do that. It's part of the spec. I just don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Is there a reason you would?
Well, if you wanted it to be as cheap as possible.
I suppose. But I mean, as cheap as possible and Threadripper don't really go together.
Well, sometimes we just do
I'm
different
just
stuff.
saying.
That's true. I mean, I do wonder why the 12 and 16 core TR Pro exist at all.
Yeah.
But
That's because they sell most of them.
So
We just heard that.
Judging by the
Big
eBay
sellers.
listings for
Okay, but
Lenovo
then-
locked Threadripper 12-core CPUs,
Yes.
I would believe it.
So they may sell a
single
lot of
core
them,
is
but how many of
important
them
for
actually
GPU.
get powered up versus pulled out and thrown on eBay in 5 minutes and replaced with a higher end chip?
That definitely happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, there's use cases, right? Like, it's
I
what
mean, if you
wanna
really
do.
badly need the length,
If you don't
yeah.
care about the compute, if it's driving
Just
graphics card,
pushing
Same
the
reason
GPU.
yeah. Same reason
Single
like
core
Brent's 3508
5.4
exists.
yeah.
But that's why I mentioned the streamers. A lot of them need all these lanes. You know?
There are dudes on the floor that literally have a Threadripper board that is splitting the slots to drive like 8 GPUs.
Yeah.
And with the 12 core, and then it's got like a 400 gig NIC in it, and it's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Sure, alright. At that point, why not just put a slightly more spicy chip in it? It's not like it's a big cost
So-
change.
Got to turn the GPU number up.
Yeah.
I guess.
Question. Does TR Pro have encrypted memory? As in support, I think it's
Support for
SCV?
SCV.
SCV?
Yes.
Yeah. Has to, right?
It doesn't necessarily have to. That's why I was asking the question.
Oh.
There is a long history of motherboard vendors not configuring those features correctly.
Yeah.
Historically, when I would turn that on, it didn't work on ESXi.
That might be
What?
more of a Broadcom thing, but
No
or a
idea.
vSphere thing rather. I can't blame Broadcom for everything that's wrong with vSphere.
It was the same AMD menu setting that worked fine on Epic FWIW. CXL also support would be nice, even if it's unofficial.
Yeah. I had a couple of people complain about that. Admittedly, those are people who do crazy things, but
There's some interesting stuff on the show floor. Again, it's the AI use cases. Even though you got 64 lanes, shove a CXL card in there because for physical memory slots, like that's not. There's things out there that you can go look at that somebody's building it. Somebody paid money to be on the floor to do it.
I suppose I'll raise this question again. So, what's the cross compatibility like between Pro and not Pro in TRX and WRX? Because I think it was with the last gen, you could put the Pro in the not Pro board, but not vice versa.
That's yeah.
Which-
How it was with 7000 and it's the same with 9000.
9,000.
It just seems a little silly. Like being able to put the 8-channel chip into the 4-channel board, but not put the 4-channel chip into the 8-channel board. Seems a little backwards.
Well, yeah, the memory channels are probably fused off.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
yeah,
so I'm not-
and
so I'm
when
not
you have that,
expecting-
when you take an 8 and you put it in a 4, it's
So
automatically.
I'm not
gonna
expecting
negotiate.
the other 4 channels to actually work. Like I'd expect 4 of the DIMM slots to be dead, or 4 of the pairs to be dead, depending on whether it's 2D.
PCIe routing becomes problematic.
And yeah, I mean, obviously, it's going to be weird if it works at all. But I have seen some instances of people doing that and having it at least boot, though it then proceeds to crash in the BIOS. But
Probably timing issue with the board.
no, that's fair enough.
So is the idea of like, are you seeing more customers gravitate towards these using Threadripper in local AI workstation / workgroup servers? Like, are these essentially becoming the old, or those like the Sun Ultra 10s and stuff that were like in every time you go into like a Bay Area, cube farm, there'd be like, hey, here's one of these that's just kind of sitting in some abandoned desk, and that was like everybody's workgroup servers for a long time. Like, is that essentially what we're seeing with AI and Threadripper? It's kind of like that's what I felt that was kind of like part of the keynote today. It looked like that.
Yeah, I mean, so we are seeing as AI continues to gain traction, that usage model continues to gain, right? With all the PCI Express expandability in Threadripper Pro, and plus the fact that AI and graphics and workflows run fast when you pair them with Threadripper Pro. We'll see a lot of growing usage for that use case. I mean, most people that are using them for traditional workflows still. Media entertainment workflows, design and manufacturing workflows, but as AI gains traction, that's one of the ways that AI is gaining traction with Threadripper.
Cool. And we'll be in one of these 2 rooms.
You got more questions?
I've asked 2. That's a lot for me. You guys know me well enough that
One thing I'd like to bring your attention is because it surprised the hell out of me was the amount of performance we scale in Threadripper versus the competition when it's a GPU bound, or it should be completely GPU bound scenario. And I've asked the engineers, and we're kind of still trying to figure out exactly why that's the case, because it's not what anybody expected to the extent that we're seeing it. I'm sure you guys have a copy of the deck, right? And there's a GPU benchmarks where we're hitting like a huge bump over the competition. The best answer I've heard from our guys is it's a cache hierarchy advantage on our side. But like I said, we're still looking into it, and I haven't heard so I encourage you guys to test it out and see if you can figure it out, because it might take us a little more time, because our guys are just starting to play with them too. But really interesting, not something you would have expected.
Some of the Xeons kind of start falling over when you're really nailing them with really heavy like I/O workloads. Like if you're just so happen to be running a server and like creating a bunch of chia plots with happen to be doing that, right? And it's really super intensive I/O workloads. They just shit the bed. There's no other way to put it. They just fall apart.
It's not necessarily an advantage on our part. It might be a failure on theirs.
Sapphire or Emerald?
What?
Sapphire or Emerald?
Emerald. It's
A fabric skill issue with Intel? Surely not.
it's them. This is actually something that someone had told. I've actually heard it about from more than one person. But then I actually was doing the workload, and on Epic it scales right through the ceiling. But once you start getting a ton of I/O, because what's happening is when you're doing that, if you were doing that, you would be hitting like 8 NVMe SSDs simultaneously with a heavy sustained write workload, right? Plus you have the CPU is really cranking hard and it's kicking tons of I/O, right? Mm-hmm. Once that starts happening with these latest Xeons, man, they just fall apart.
Yep.
There's no other way to put it.
Have you tried it with Sapphire?
It's so much
No.
worse.
But I've heard that's even worse. Yeah, it's an I/O issue. It's with their fabric. Something's up.
Is it I wonder if it's the fabric itself or the IOMMU falling over, because I know that the reason why Apple never bought, you could never buy an Ice Lake Mac Pro was because for I/O workloads, Cascade Lake was faster than Ice Lake. Because Intel screwed up IOMMU on and the general MMU.
The IOTLV size was way too small.
Exactly.
And Apple likes to put everything behind an individual IOMMU.
Yep.
So it was, the constant TLD flushes were just killing it.
The first version of that didn't enable security on IOMMU at all. Like, you could turn it on.
I had another question, but I've lost it.
I think you tripped over that too, didn't you? Yeah. It's like, why am I able to write a memory and not? That was bad.
Just a long time ago.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody's set up with their Threadripper 7000 or Pro 7000. What is the expected like generational uplift that they would get in the same SKU for Ryzen or Threadripper 9000? And do you see it like worth it in terms of like the cost of upgrade, obviously? Or are you guys not able to fully say that yet?
No, so at the same core count, the performance gain is about 20% for the Threadripper Pro, and I think for the non-Pro goes up to 26%. Does that sound right? 26?
That's about right.
And so what we typically see is that customers that are buying Pro, they're on a 3 or 4 year upgrade cycle, so they would be upgrading from either the Threadripper Pro 3000 or 5000 as opposed to the prior gen 7000. So going from that upgrade cycle, there'll be a significant step up in performance.
So, do you guys have any kind of projection of how much of the workstation market that you've taken? Like what you represent now, because you guys have really kicked in the teeth for a few generations.
Yeah, so we're the market share leader in processors for high performance workstations. So like I said, all latest IDC data. We had a white paper that we put out, I guess about a year ago, where even IDC backed up that claim.
Do you know the percentage off the top of your head? Rough.
I do, but IDC splits it a different way than we split it. So the way that we look at it, we're at 65% share. Like I said, if you asked IDC what the number is, they would give you a different number because they split it different than us.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way we look at it, we're at 65% processor share.
Like I'm sure you guys appreciate it, but that we were already leading and then put something out that's 20% faster usually is for the kind of buyer for this. Like, I mean, a lot of these guys don't care how much it costs. It's really about how much you can get out of
We
the
can tell
system.
by the price. Come on, man. Okay.
There are a lot of people on the forum that have built a 9575F single or dual socket based workstation, like a lot.
My kingdom for an unlocked 9575F.
So it's just I mean, I'm kind of surprised at the uplift generationally, but can't argue. I mean, the results.
If you're doing heavy AVX 512, it should be double, but you're probably running power limits. At that
Yeah.
point.
You're gonna hit that big
Density.
And then there's going to be parts of the code that can take advantage of it. Parts.
Well, yeah, real world
Yeah.
workload versus like
Yes.
what is that? Y cruncher.
It looks like
Those are two different worlds.
Pro,
Right?
Threadripper non-pro actually is going to be
Suppose
extremely well.
another question that I've been getting asked, and I know what the answer is. I know what the answer to this is, but X3D?
That kind of. What are you competing against?
Not today.
Not today.
Right, like
Okay,
you
I'll
sound like
take
you
it. I
don't
was
have
expecting a
anything
no.
that you're
Not today.
I think this is the first Threadripper that's going to
Soon
Hey, I'll take a maybe.
indistinguishable gaming performance just because
No
it's a
3D
Fox
core.
memory controller. This is the old back versus
Donnie, did you leak that
that's
slide?
going to bring latency and
Well, and
argument.
the other one was no 128.
Look under your chairs.
If you want 128 for Threadripper, I don't know what to tell you.
unfortunately times like this.
Is this your instinct program?
Also because of May
Because
22nd.
you can do something doesn't mean it
I
makes
haven't
sense,
done a lot
I
of
guess.
time with it.
Yeah.
Which is the
Looking
weird
good
part.
Well, it's like I've had
It's like
I've
everybody
had-
asking
All
for
my
dual
metabolic panels
CCD
completely
X3D
normal now.
on
So-
desktop. It's like everybody wants it until
Until they have to buy it.
we have to charge you what it's cost, and then it's like,
I mean,
why would anyone buy this?
So X3D, you guys are getting over that. You guys are getting over that.
Intel sold the 9990Xs back in the day. Basically, just sell it to OEMs.
and I mean, you could probably do it for Epic 4005.
I mean, there's been so much requests for it. So I mean, nobody said no, but I
People,
would-
someone would pay for it.
Yes,
And
the,
a
the-
lot of someones.
The trick is to do it in such a way that everybody doesn't hate you, because
Yeah,
everybody
that's
who's
true,
screaming we
'cause-
needed it are going to be like they're taking advantage
No,
of it.
it's
So
it's X 100 megahertz down on single thread.
yeah.
Are you guys getting over the hump on it? Well, I don't talk about that.
I mean, yeah. I feel like the Epic 4005 would be a nice way to sort of circle around everyone complaining about overclocking and slightly lower clocks and that sort of
Yeah.
pricing and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea.
Wait, what?
So do the dual Vcache die, but do it as an Epic 4005.
Oh yeah.
But Dylan's not enthused.
It's not like you can really overclock it anyway.
I mean, you would do that as a Halo product, not I mean, I get why they didn't do that.
I mean, come on, it's a tiny little epic.
Yeah, but I mean,
For some people, that's a large epic.
it does conveniently solve the problem of 256 gigs of fast memory. Because you can deal with slow 256 gigs that's stable, and the Vcache makes up for the fact that memory's slow.
You never know. We're never going to let up on this. Just to let you know. That's why I just bring up the questions so that we can.
I mean, the other question I've been getting is no 128 core, but how would you cool it?
You technically can overclock the Epic 4005.
True. I mean, there's not really that much of a difference between 4005 and Ryzen 9000. It says yes to ECC, but that already works.
Accidental awesome.
Alright guys, we got 5 more minutes if anybody...
That's all I had.
I asked 2 questions. That's too much.
We can fill the
Well,
void.
with the new X3Ds, you know, there's game bar and all that stuff. Will that have any effect on Threadripper? Like 79 or 9970X or something like that, so having 32 cores, will there be any benefit for utilizing that software for gaming to...
I could probably answer that one. So all those driver features are I think they're exempt from Threadripper. I'm pretty sure.
They are.
You have to go as a user because it's a different kind of user, right?
Correct.
You have to go and manually opt for game mode. You have to reboot it, and then you're limited to 16 cores.
Right.
So that other stuff is very consumer oriented. We don't do it for Threadripper.
I think the other way to put that is, can you game on Threadripper? Sure.
Yes.
It's
Should you game on Threadripper?
Will we game on Threadripper for reviews?
Yes.
Probably yes. Yeah. In which case, if you have a problem, please run in game mode and at least report on. Even though it's a pain, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It'll get you going until it gets fixed.
Yeah. I mean, over time, it fixes itself, right? Like developers and the OS, the Windows guys.
Gradually work out what's
Newer
going on.
games kind of cope with 64 cores and they're fine and 96 cores, but it's the older games that we're really talking about. Those are the ones.
The older ones don't mind running in game mode.
No.
Because they don't need that much CPU.
Well, and the OS is, I mean, they're generally a modern game developer generally will make it, will design the engine that it can cope. Because it's a thing now, whereas it wasn't a thing 5 years or 10 years
A
ago.
lot of stuff falls over at 256, but there are limits.
Yeah. And that too goalposts, you guys know,
Yeah.
everything moves over time, right?
Well, and there aren't exactly a lot of systems with 256 cores being used to play games right now.
No, of course, and they won't be for a while, but
Other than
someday
when
they
I'm
will.
being mean to things. Yeah.
Inevitably, right? We'll get there. Unless
A
they-
third question, Patrick?
I had one.
Nice.
Okay, here's my question. So I think everybody here has seen the performance of the current generation Threadripper versus Xeon W. I think most of us here would agree that Threadripper is significantly faster. Is there something that releasing a new Threadripper with a lot of some fairly similar specs? I mean, there's definitely some things that have gone up, but you can make something faster. But were you limited in how you could sell these or your share gains based on having the previous gen? I mean, is it literally just hey, well, we can make it a little bit faster, so the dudes that are doing per core licensing, they're going to be jazzed? Is it? But does that even does doing 22% make those people upgrade, right? Or does that spark a refresh cycle? I guess that's kind of my question. Is you don't really, if you're not in a space where you have competition, yet you're doing an upgrade like this, where you're not doing PCIe Gen 6 and big socket upgrade, how do you kind of think through that as an organization?
Are you cannibalizing? Is that what you're asking?
Well, no, I mean it's let's put it this way: if they did not, if they did not release the Threadripper 9000 and Pro series, would we still think that they're faster than the Xeon W by a huge margin? And I think the answer would be yes. So I guess that's kind of my question is, right, when you have that leadership role, you're not introducing a new socket level feature of like PCIe Gen 6. So like, what prompts you to, is it just like, hey, we want everything on Zen 5 because that's the thing?
I would say this is way more business unit driven than, like, this is not 4D chess and a bunch of like hyper intelligent. You know, this is like, what do we think we can sell? Who's asking for this?
Yeah.
What makes sense? And we're wrong sometimes, and then we have to adjust.
So I mean, there's like
OEM
customers.
refresh cycle.
Well, there's
is
like-
your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do
Okay,
your
no,
best.
that's totally fair.
refresh
That's kind of like what I was asking though, right? It's like what makes you want.
I'm looking forward to the $700 32 core Zen 4s on eBay.
So to actually get back to the question, this year is a big refresh cycle in graphics. Obviously, you've seen a bunch of graphics. This week, you saw a bunch of graphics at CES. The graphics transition from PCI Express Gen 4 to Gen 5, we believe is going to drive a refresh cycle in workstations. And so this is a good time to refresh Threadripper Pro to align with that refresh cycle.
That was a very wise
likes
answer.
I'm sorry,
No, I said Lenovo likes it. You know, when they're going to sell it.
I was just saying that's a wise answer.
9,000 higher than 7,000.
I mean, it's over 9,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is only the first Threadripper that's over 9,000.
That was my
That should
first
be our
tweet.
whole slogan.
It was my first tweet. It's over 9,000.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up mainly because we're
Thank
about
you.
to make a ton of noise and kill their meeting if we don't leave
All
now.
right, thank you. And that's it. So let me know in the comments what you thought about that. You know, roundtable discussions are just that, roundtable. There's not like a main moderator or anything. We just discuss things, ask questions, and you know, we'll learn more when we get the units in hand. I'm probably going to get the 9970X because I have the 7970X and the 3970X. So this will be more direct comparisons from my experience. And overall, having like a 20-ish% increase in performance, like 24, 26, 22, depends on the workloads, obviously. It'll be interesting to see that firsthand. And of course, yes, I will test them in Star Citizen.